Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. I just have to give you another quick video, just a short live. I won't be here for too long. It's Friday, Furahi Day. But I want us to interrogate Boniface Mwangi's claim of abuse by the Tanzanian authorities. Listen, guys, I told you, I gave you homework, and I'm going to give you another homework, the same homework that I gave you. I told you, listen, pay attention, read, and listen to every statement that Boniface Mwangi claims regarding what happened to him when he was detained by the Tanzanian authorities. Now, I want to start with the first claim when he said that once he was detained, okay, he was tortured, blindfolded, handcuffed, okay, all right, and whatever torture, I don't know the nature of his torture. I don't know if he was beat up. I don't know if they strangled him. I don't know if they kicked him, punched him, slapped him, pinched him, strike. I don't know what happened, okay? But those are the questions that I want to ask, because if you were tortured and there was some physical harm done to your body, where is the evidence? I've been trying to keenly look at Boniface, the way he walks, the way he talks, any marks on his body. I do not see any signs of any physical assault or abuse. Now, to be fair, there are some cases where somebody can be hit, okay, depending on how it's done, and there might not be any visible damage done. But one thing that I paid attention when he said, when he was walking to that car, he was limping, and two men were helping him to the car. He claimed once he got to the car, he claimed that his right knee was messed up, okay, was broken or whatever. I don't know. He didn't say broken, but he said he injured his right knee after the so-called torture. Okay. Now, something interesting, because you remember he was limping, right? He was limping. There's another clip where he was in a wheelchair where they were wheeling him. He was limping and all that. Remember that? So after that, today, there's a clip that is running around today where Boniface Mwangi was laying down. Actually, he was sitting down on a hospital bed. Martha Karua was there, and that musician who's married to the former wife of Alfred Mutua. I don't know his name, that musician, whatever the case is. And a bunch of guys were sitting around Boniface Mwangi. And then Martha Karua gave a silly speech there for a second. Then Boniface Mwangi started speaking, and he said, "Thank you guys for coming, whatever, for the ordeal, whatever, for what I went through." Then a very funny thing happened that actually made me, study and notice something that was unusual for someone who had complained that he had injured his knee. This is what happened. So Boniface was laying down on the bed, in the hospital bed, right? Covered with a blanket, right? So he started saying what he was saying. Then he moved the blanket away from him and stretched, not only stretched, but folded his legs, his knee, with he did that effortlessly. Obviously, he was wearing shorts beneath there, but if you look at his legs, if you examine his legs, there was any visible wound, any visible scratch or laceration or any of that. And for somebody who was injured in the knee, as he claimed, I'm using his words, okay, the way in which he moved his knee, once he moved that blanket, was a little bit suspect. If you have a knee injury, you can barely flex your knee, okay? It's because I'm assuming he was in pain, even if you're on pain medication. Moving your knee, if you got injured and your knee was injured, whatever, you got beat up, or whatever the case is, would be a difficult, a daunting task to undertake. But this guy, he doesn't think about what he says, okay? He moved his knee, kind of alikunja mguu yake hivi, you know, and said, I'm doing good, whatever there, I'm feeling much better, whatever. And I'm thinking, within 24 hours, I don't know about you, if you've played any sports, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, whatever the case is, if you play any kind of sport and you have injured your knee, even if somebody knock you on your knee, let's say you're playing football, and somebody knock you on your knee, the pain, depending on the severity of it, let's say it's a bad tackle, jamaa alipata red card kwa sababu amekukanyaga, okay? And it's a bad tackle where you had to be wheeled or you had to be helped off the field. Your knee injury takes a long time because it's a joint bone, okay? It's your bones that are affected on a joint. So it will take longer and it's more painful. What I'm saying, it will be painful and it takes longer to heal. But here he is, we saw his clip. Once he was, you know, kulikuwa na nini yoka camera, when he was being wheeled, actually at first, before he wore his kanzu, he was wearing some clothes there. Alafu alikuwa anamsaidia. There are two gentlemen who are helping him to the car. And when he was getting to the car, they cut the camera off because it was going to show how unaffected his knee was. But again, go look at that clip. I think it's on by standard. It's on X. Just look at it, where the same clip where Martha Karua is there visiting Boniface Mwangi on the bed. Just look at what Boniface Mwangi did, okay? For someone who injured his knee, I'm assuming his right knee, because on that previous initial video after he was so-called found in Ukunda, it was his right leg that he couldn't use. So he was kind of limping, and the two gentlemen were helping him towards the car, to get into the car. So it was his right leg. Mnasikia? Right leg. Right mguya right. So with that one in mind, go look at that clip where Martha Karua pays him a visit. Martha Karua and that musician and a bunch of people who I do not know, where Boniface Mwangi talks and says, I'm feeling much better. Sijui nini nini. Then akatoa kininio, akatoa blanketi. Then he stretches his knee effortlessly, like somebody who has never experienced any knee injury, who was never limping, who had never whatever, never suffered any kind of injury on the legs. And like I said, take a good examination of the leg. No laceration, no cuts, no marks, no punch marks, no bite marks, no nothing. He seems okay. Okay? So that's why I'm saying the members of the media, I know they're in on this kind of whole game of trying to portray ninio. Nakuona Shi Mariam, tafadhali usininio nachangisha watu. Tafadhali weka like hapo please. So what I'm saying is this: I want people to not be afraid to ask hard questions. Let's not just go with the narrative. Like I said, I like what Francis Gaito just wrote, and basically say that this game that this Wakina Martha Karua and Boniface Mwangi are actually playing, they're trying to guilt trip you. If you ask the hard questions, it's as if they're trying to trip you into guilty trip you into saying that you are supporting the torturers, the oppressors who did this thing to Boniface Mwangi and the other lady. Okay, that's why I'm saying we should not be intimidated and ask the hard questions. What happened? How were you transported? How did you get there? Did they drive you? Did they make you walk from Dar es Salaam to Ukunda, whatever the case is? What happened? Okay, so these are the questions that we need to ask. But unfortunately, the media that is supposed to actually work on behalf of the Kenyan people's interest is not doing their job. They're actually in cahoots with these guys because they get paid to push a narrative. Now, the second thing, and that leads me to the second thing, the second statement that I want to make, okay, which has to do with the lady that was found today in the Ugandan lady that was that disappeared with that was so-called detained with Boniface Mwangi. Okay, now it has been reported. Burkina Shimayani anasema nimepata host Burkina Faso, nauli ndio bado haijatosha. I'm tired living in Kenya. Usijali. Tutaongea na Ibrahim Traore tuone vile tutakusafirisha Burkina Faso. But yeah, so this to me actually, it even makes me doubt. I mean, I was doubting the whole thing. I was questioning the whole thing altogether. But now it kind of affirms what I've been thinking, that these guys are making up stuff. Now, regarding this lady, I forgot her name, Agate or something. Agate, I think that's her name. That was Boniface Mwangi, who was found this morning apparently somewhere in the border of Uganda and Tanzania. Okay, now this lady, it has been reported. I haven't heard from her. I haven't had any interview or any, speech from her or any Twitter, X statement or post. But there are people who are claiming that she was sexually assaulted. She was raped. Not only tortured, but raped, okay? This is what they're saying. Now, to me, again, like I said, and the people are reacting. I saw Akombe is writing, oh my goodness, the human rights, against women and all these things is a terrible thing, which is fine, because that's the goal of this activists. They want you to get invested emotionally so that your anger can be geared towards Suluhu, sorry, not Suhulu, Suluhu, okay? Because every post that reports or write anything regarding Boniface Mwangi or that Agate lady, they try to pin it on Suluhu. But here's the thing, though, just to mention something about that lady with the claims that the whole claim that she was sexually assaulted or raped or whatever the case is. This is what I'm saying. We need to ascertain the truth. We cannot let people just make claims and recklessly, make reckless claims that can result into diplomatic tensions or, ifanye watu ninio, two nations wakosane, mavurugo iingie hapo kati ya Watanzania na Wakenya. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Because these are serious claims that if anybody makes those claims, we need to really look into it. Boniface Mwangi and that young lady should be questioned. We should prove. We are not asking them to prove that this, we are actually asking them questions so that we can see and prove if what they're saying is actually true. Because, like I said, I know you might think that is that's mean. After all the things that they've gone to, you still want to ask them these questions. Yes, I still want to ask them these questions. Because there's a good reason to believe that these people are actually making up stuff. Okay? Political Coleman amesema koti isikubali uchaguzi ifanyike 2026. Actually, 2026 is where it's supposed to happen. Actually, I'll come to that. Let me finish this one, then I'll come to the political corner in a minute. So that's what I'm saying. We should interrogate. Do not let these people get away with these lies. Because if you're going to make some serious allegations against Suluhu, okay, in the name of activism, then we need to look into it. Let's see, okay? Our two, they're getting away with it because no one is following up, no one is asking questions, no one is like actually trying to see if what they're saying is actually true. Yeah? Kama mwanamke walimnajisi. Let us go to the hospital. Let's get the results. Was she actually ninio? Kama alipigwa. Show us the pictures. We want to see the pictures. We want to have how the skin was. What's going on? The report by the doctor. What Dr. Rigani alisign hiyo ninio ya Boniface Mwangi. We saw him sitting on a hospital bed. Which hospital was it? Which doctor saw him and actually did the assessment? Which nurse? What did they? Sorry guys, I don't know. What was the name of the doctor that actually took care of Boniface Mwangi? The nurse that actually took care of him. What was the assessment? What was the results? Okay, did he have broken ligaments? What's the problem? Did he lose a teeth? Did he have skin lacerations, discoloration of the foot, mouth, nose, whatever the case is? Okay, can he walk? What happened? Does he have pain in his joints? Did he break a bone? What is wrong with his toes? Because he keeps on showing his toes. What? Is he deformed? Those are the questions that we should ask and see. Not because we want to be a bunch of assholes, but sorry, a bunch of, bad guys, because there's a history of Boniface Mwangi having a choreographed events that he wants to directly blame his target. In this case is Suluhu. Now, let's take a case. Since people want to point a picture on Suluhu, okay? Let's assume that this torture and human rights violation happened to Boniface Mwangi and Agathe, the lady, okay? Let's assume it happened, okay? As they're claiming, okay? Why are you blaming Suluhu on this matter? If the police force did something to these guys, okay, detain them without the full knowledge of, I'm assuming, because I can't imagine Suluhu told them, hey, listen, go catch that lady and mumfanyie hizo vitu na mchape vile nenio. I can't imagine Suluhu doing that. I'm not saying it's outside the realms of possibility, but I can't imagine that, because to me, I'm looking at it like this. If they knew, like I said this earlier today in my first video, I say that Suluhu knew who Martha Karua, Boniface Mwangi is, and Agathe is. That's why he denied them entry into Tanzania. Now, Boniface made his way to Tanzania. I don't know how. I don't know if he drove there or he took a flight, but he was alikuwa deported. The initial reports was that Boniface Mwangi and Agathe were already deported on the same day that he was making noise in that hotel. They asked him to leave and he was deported. That is the initial report. But then, waliona hiyo story ya ibambi sana, so they came up with another report that Boniface akaenda kujificha, whatever the case is, and nobody knew where he was. All of a sudden, he shows up. The cameras were readily available, showing him limping into the car, claiming that his right knee was messed up. But 24 hours later, when Martha Karua goes to see him in the bed, in the hospital, he's moving his legs freely with no signs of discomfort. Yeah? So that's why I'm saying we need to interrogate these people. We cannot let these people make up stuff like this just because they're getting paid by the Open Society Foundation to bring kuvuruga maneno huku na pale huku, whether it's Tanzania or whatever the case is. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying, I'm urging everyone who's going to watch this on X and even YouTube, we need to ask more questions. Hii story ya kina Boni na Agathe with that lady who they are saying ati sijui amefanywa nini, mpaka waulizwe maswali tujue ni nini imefanyika. Hatutaki mauongo. Because in fact, that should be a crime. And just because Suluhu did not address them, because listen to me, like I said, Suluhu already had intelligence. He has a profile of who these people are. That's why Martha Karua and Mutunga was not let into Tanzania. Why did, I mean, if Suluhu was a brutal dictator and wanted to be whatever, sinangewachukua tu detain hapo na detain Mutunga. Eh? Why would she choose Boniface Mwangi to torture Boniface Mwangi? If anything, Boniface Mwangi is a less of a threat than Martha Karua. Martha Karua, at least she's more amejulikana kuliko Boniface Mwangi. She's of more higher stature. Mutunga was a former Chief Justice of Kenya, the head of the Supreme Court. So that one will be a bigger threat to Suluhu and would have caused a bigger diplomatic headache to Suluhu's government than a mere noisemaker like Nani. Karibu Mabri. Nice seeing you. Siku mingi sana. Msininyime like hapo, hebu wekeni like. So you understand what I'm saying? So I don't see why, I don't see anything, I don't see how Suluhu gained or gains by detaining Boniface Mwangi and that other lady. Sioni, it doesn't make sense. He's not gaining anything. That's why even the Tanzanian officials did not even respond to this whole claim that that Boniface Mwangi ameshikwa. They did not respond. They didn't come out and say, "Oh, we did this or we didn't do." They didn't deny or whatever, because he's a nobody. They responded to Martha Karua. If you pay attention, they responded to Martha Karua and they explained why they did what they did. But with Boniface Mwangi, they did not, because they know this is inupuzi. This is a clout chaser. That's why I'm saying we, the Kenyan people, instead of entertaining hizi mavurugo and the media wakianza kutetanisha watu hapa sijui wa Tanzania nini and I guess wa Tanzania nini, let's ask first. Ndio nasema naambia watu, if Boniface Mwangi is telling us that alivunjwa his knee was injured, na mwanamke naye inasemekana, it's reported, she hasn't said it but there people are saying it on X, ati walimnajisi. Let's ascertain the truth. Let's find out. And use that evidence to actually bring it against the Tanzanian authority. Actually, I want to see, because we have a Tanzanian cause, East African cause. That's something that they can actually evidence that can be brought against the Suluhu's administration. Or at least the police, whoever, the security forces or the officials who actually did the torturing. It can be brought against them. It's an easy verifiable thing. They know where they were arrested, so they can simply go there and Yeah, but Martha Karua is she's sending a letter in general talking about Tundulusu and the human rights stuff. I'm talking about letters specifically dealing with the crimes, so-called crimes that happened to Boniface Mwangi and this lady. Because if they go to court, they have to prove that this actually happened to them and produce evidence. Si ati ile kitu naandika kwa X ati nilivunjika mguu na unatembea hapo unaanza kujifanya ati liumia. Where? Okay? It has prove it. Okay? Like I said, and I like what somebody else said, that there's a lot of human rights cases that goes on in Kenya. Even Gaito said it. If you notice, it's a gang. Hanifa, Boniface Mwangi, Martha Karua, na yule sijui nani, Ahmed sijui nani. Okay, 4 of them and another one, 2. Hawa wanajishughulikia wenyewe. Vile nani watu walikuwa nashikwa, vile wakina sijui nani walikuwa nashikwa. You don't see them worry about them. That's what I'm saying. So we need to interrogate what these people actually claim. You can't have people making up stories just to cause diplomatic tensions between two nations that have been living peaceful. I understand, as I explained in my earlier life, that the goal is to actually demonize Suluhu so that the elections year 2025, because Tanzanians are going to elections in 2025, they want Suluhu to be voted out. And I'm pretty sure they're going to vote her out. Hiyo story ilienda mpaka BBC. BBC Africa at least. Okay? Aya. Ati Faith, hadi Faith. Okay. Faith amefanyika nini? Ani unasema nini Faith? Ini marketers wa Blackman agenda. Yes. Please guys, make sure you like the video. Martha nasikia ametuma barua AU. Yeah, but AU sasa AU, wacha niwaulize. I understand AU. I get what you're saying, Shi Mariam. Lakini nauliza, how in the history of AU, when have AU or in a part of gang, yeah. Yeah, gang. Yeah. In the history of AU, when has AU ever actually resolved an African issue between two nations? That's how toothless AU is. I have never heard of any day, our Eritrea vile walikuwa wanapigana hapa na Ethiopia. Did AU ever intervene successfully and brought a peaceful resolution? Sudan vile watu wananyongana hapa na RSF na mambo mengine. Okay? Has the AU actually came up with a resolution that worked? Because AU is being funded by who? Sinema Europeans. And the Europeans are the ones who actually want this war to come in, because the more destable these countries are, like Congo and Southern Sudan and Sudan, the more they can actually extract the minerals without being questioned. Okay? Hawaulizwi. Sasa zile nyinyi mnapigana mabunduki huku kwa hao wanachukua minerals zenu. That's why they always destabilize ndio maana unaona wakina Traore alisema the first order of business mpaka tusimamishe hizi vita. And by the way, the first order of business in this channel is to like the video. Tafadhali like in the video. Yeah. Yes, I think Suluhu is pro-side. To me, I don't know, I haven't seen evidence, but what I know is she's pro-BRICS. She's pro-BRICS, like I said. Wanataka kumtoa kwa sababu alisema hawatatumia dola ya US in Tanzania. No one is allowed. Wameban the use of US dollar in Tanzania. Na hapo ndio shida zake zilianza sasa. Hapo ndio shida zake zilianza. Anyway, she Mariam ulikuwa unasema conman, which conman? There's so many conmans in Kenya. Is it the main conman Raila Odinga? Did he say that hakuna election 2026? What's going on? Hebu nipatie habari. I saw him in the Senate. I don't know what he was saying. Hata yeye pia anataka kuwa relevant. Aliona kama watu wanapata, unajua Raila hataki kuachwangwa kwa ninio. He doesn't want to limelight. Hataki watu wapate limelight na yeye amenyamaza mpaka afanye kitu ndio watu akwae kwa news. He has to make the news cycle, because the past week the father of it all. the dean of conmanship, the dean of political conmanship alisema ati haifanywi 2026. Hebu niambie, because I saw him on the Senate. I don't know what he was saying. I didn't even bother to look at what he was saying in Senate, because but yeah. So yeah, like I'm saying, unajua the past few, what is it? The past few days, the focus has been all this Tanzanian Martha Karua story and Boniface Mwangi and Gachagua, unaona. So Raila alikuwa amenyamaza sana, hata watu wengine walikuwa nafikiri amekufa. So he had to reappear again. Uliona alijaribu kuongea huko in Mombasa. I don't know, he was talking somewhere in Mombasa and no one paid attention. The Boniface Mwangi was still Mwangi story and Gachagua was making headlines. So leo akaenda Senate kwa sababu anataka arudi kwa headline kabisa. Raila anataka yeye kila siku kwa headline. Yeye ndio conman mwenyewe terengenye. He has to be. Mpaka watu wazungumze juu ya Raila. Unataka kumwacha? Na yeye. Yes. Unasemaje hapo? What was it? My question is, if kama ako opposition, why is he objecting it? Raila is not in the opposition. I understand what you're saying, she. Unajua Raila anataka kukua kila pahali. Senate, hebu nione hapo. Hata nakosa habari. Hapa napata habari motomoto. Senate alienda to suggest that Senate to be giving power of being the upper house. Okay. So, like I was just to answer your question hapo, Shi Maria Milo unasema hapo, my question is, if kama ako opposition, why is he objecting it? Like I was saying, Raila anataka kuwa opposition kwa sababu hapo ndio vile anadanganyanga watu. That's how he gets his support. Okay? So to be seen as this person who's fighting the system. Okay? The person who is keeping the government on his toes. So mpaka maintain your opposition yake. And at the same time, anataka kukula na serikali. Unaona? That's why you see, he's actually you know, he's on both sides. Lakini he's not on the opposition. Raila is not in the opposition. Raila akuna Ruto, ndio maana unaona amenyamaza. Raila asipokuwa kwa serikali ungemuona saizi mwanzo hata yeye ndio ungemuona Tanzania hapo sasa. Ungemuona na Suluhu hapo anapiga nduru. Yeah? So that's what I'm saying. You know, this is what's happening. Kenya, all these people who are ambao unaona kwa TV sana, wanaonyeshwa kwa TV saa zote. All these people are conmen and women. They're all conmen and women. They're opportunists. Wamependa kukua katinio, wanapenda ninio, wanapenda attention. Unaona, that's how they make their money. That's how they are able to kudanganya watu. Unaona, they have to do this. Ndio maana siku moja ukiona kirun for MP or for president, utaona ati I was among the people who are fighting for Tindulusu against Suluhu when Suluhu was torturing people. That's how they make their name. Ndio maana unaona Raila pia anajifanya bado anapigania wa Kenya. You have to ask yourself a question. This guy is like 157 years old. Why is he still kwa nini uko kwa politics? Unafanya nini? Unukae go rest. Enda ukakule, umeshaiba ya kutosha. Enda kakule hiyo pesa yako umeiba. Why are you still ninio? Yeah? But it is ndio nasema. It's a drug. Power is a drug. Ukiamka kama umezoea unaamka na unaekewa red carpet na uko na bodyguard na watu wanakupigia shangwe na vigelegele. That is what they like. That is what they like. That's what they enjoy. But anyway, guys, I won't stay here for long. Leo ni Friday, najua mko mnakula sherehe pale mko. But I wanted to just say that, listen, we have to interrogate Boniface Mwangi's claim of abuse by the Tanzanian authorities. We cannot have this crisis actors, pretenders, commercial activists who are being paid by the Open Society Foundation, which used to be an institution that is owned by George Soros, okay, to orchestrate hii mchezo wa town. And then the compromise media, inawapatia airtime ikiwasifu as great human rights activists. That should stop if you are going to liberate this country. Because remember, msisahau, Boniface Mwangi na Hanifa ndio walikuwa naambia watu wasiende State House. Remember, they were telling people go home, msiende State House, when wananchi walishaamua wanasema nini? After parliament ilishakuwa occupied, the next step was to go to State House. And Boniface Mwangi na Hanifa na wengine wao walianza kuambia watu watirudi nyumbani. That's why the next time they went to occupy Ninio, watu walianza kuwachapa. They spared Hanifa but walichapa Boniface Mwangi. Kwa sababu walikuwa na enjoy watu. Because watu wamemgundua, people know who he is. Unaona? But he doesn't care because mpaka afanye hizi usarakasi so that he can get his paycheck from Open Society Foundation owned by George Soros. So mpaka afanye hizi vitu. But these people we have to tuangalie vizuri. Unfortunately, listen to me. Actually, let me say this. Let me say this while you guys are here. This is a very important thing. Let me tell you something. Newsflash. Msikie vizuri. Wacha niwaambie kitu. Msikie vizuri. Gachagua ni mtoto wa Moi. Moi alicheza nje. That's why Gachagua, he knows that kuna watu wamejua yeye ni mtoto wa Moi. That's why Gachagua always try to make himself the biggest. Yeye ndio anajifanya yeye ndio Mkikuyu kabisa kushinda hata Wakikuyu wote. That's why he keeps on talking about Mau Mau. But in real sense, his father is Moi, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Kuna mtu amejua baba ya Gachagua? Babake anaitwa nani? Gachagua ni mtoto wa Moi. Now listen to this. Okay? Gachagua, ukiangalia historia yake, He has always been with KANU. Alikuanga KANU, alifanyia Moi kazi, hata yeye ndiye alienda kuninio kutesa watoto nani Matiba's family in 92 vile alitumwa na ninio Moi. Okay? And he caused those atrocities in Molo. Lakini leo anajifanya yeye ndio sasa ndiye anatetea, yeye ndio sasa mkubwa wa Mlima Kenya. Number 2, he used to work with Ruto and he was the PS for Kenyatta. We know the close proximity between the Kenyatas and Moi family. In fact, there's a law in place, I think it's called estate duty tax, that the Moi family and Kenyatta family are exempt from. They are not going to pay tax on any land they own wakitaka kupatiana watoto wao. It is a law in place to this day. Iliwekwa huko 1964 huko. Unaona, I'm trying to give you the connection between these people. Okay? Vile hao watu wameshikana na ile mchezo wa town wanacheza. Then enter conman Raila Odinga, okay, who has been compromised, had been compromised since the 1990s, who has been pretending to be the opposition since 1997. Vile alikuwa anajifanya ati aliingia KANU, vile alikuwa NDP alafu kaingia KANU. Alafu vile aliona wakina Kibaki wameshikana na wakina Charity Ngilu wanataka kutoa Moi, akadandia akajifanya hata yeye pia ameingia hapo sasa. Yeye sasa ndio ati Kibaki tosha. Angebaki KANU wangemtoa na Moi na Uhuru, but akadandia akajifanya hata yeye pia is the right side of history. Unasikia? And he has always been playing as pretending to be the opposition leader. Unaona? And if so, I want you to see the connection. By the way, these people have businesses together. The Moi family, the Odinga family, the Kenyatta family, Gachagua, who is the child, Moi's child out of wedlock. Hata mkimwangalia ukiona hiyo meno yake vile imekana hiyo shape ya kichwa yake. Ni Moi tu. Moi, unaona? So these people have been in the same circle. Then enter the next hierarchical level of conmanship. Sasa ndio unaenda kupata wakina Martha Karua, Musalia Mudavadi hapa, wakina nani, wakina wanaitwa nani, Papa wa Roma, unaona hawa watu. These are loyalists. They are very loyal to the Moi family, the Odinga family, and the Kenyatta family. They are loyalists. Orengo, sijui nani, it's an incestuous relationship, and they do business together. That's why I keep on telling you, Ruto can never arrest Kenyatta for the crimes that Kenyatta did. Uhuru can never arrest Kibaki or anyone who was in Kibaki's government for what the atrocities and the illegalities they committed. And Kibaki could not arrest the Moi after the 24 years of atrocities that Moi caused and economic crimes and human rights that he caused. He cannot do that. Because hawa wote wameshikana nima, wako kwa business pamoja, wako kwa club moja, and they're all in all this Freemasons au ushetani ambao wanaabudu. Ndio maana wameshikana pamoja. Sasa wanatumiana pamoja, that's why they can never arrest each other. But they have to maintain opposition na serikali in order to fool you. Because the soon you discover kwamba hawa watu wanafanya biashara pamoja, wanakula pamoja, wanafanya kila kitu pamoja, utawageuka na mtawatoa na mtawanyonga kamiti. So they have to maintain. That's why unaona Gachagua sasa ndio hata Gachagua amesema hataki kukimbia 2027. Kwa sababu gani? Kwa sababu I told you, I have a clip. I saw a clip. I didn't save it. I wanted to save it. Your clip is a very important clip. Ilikuwa Uhuru Kenyatta one day. He was addressing people in Uasin Gishu, I think. Na alikuwa amewaka. Unajua Uhuru alikuwa anawaka na anavuta bangi. And he started saying, 10 yangu, alafu 10 ya Ruto, alafu aseme, alafu Gachagua, alafu then he stopped. He wanted to say Gachagua, but he stopped himself because he was revealing the plan. Ndio maana I've been telling you, listen to me carefully. I've been telling you, hii kitu ishapangwa. Ishapangwa. Ni 10 ya Ruto, 10 ya nani ilifanyika, ya Uhuru. Alafu after Ruto amalize yake, Gachagua anaenda next, anakuwa president. Ndio maana Gachagua alisema hivi, mimi 2027 sitakimbia. It was just to fool you, kuleta uvurugo, conmanship. Okay, ndio naambia kuna levels of conmanship. The highest level of conmanship ni ya Raila Odinga, lakini Raila Odinga sasa tumeshamgundua. He's almost leaving the scene. Anajaribu tu, ajaribu kukaa relevant, lakini yake imeisha, anaondoka. He's becoming relevant. Hana kazi sasa, yani it doesn't matter anymore. Ni mtu tu amekaa tu hapo. But the next level of conmanship sasa ndio hao wakina Gachagua, na hao wakina Martha Karua, and hao wakina Boniface Mwangi, hao wakina Kasmuel. These are the new breeds of colonial puppets that are going to take over the mantle of political conmanship in this country to maintain this dichotomy, political dichotomy that we have of a false opposition and versus the government. Ndio maana unaona Gachagua didn't say anything to be worried about. Alisema tu IBC wasipofanya kazi yao patriotic duty, ile watafanya inchi kwae kama vile 2007 ilikuwa, people will lose renewal. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not incitement. Lakini wakachukua wakaigeuza, wanasema Gachagua amesema 2027 kutakuwa na vita kali kuliko 2007. Why? Because they want to paint Gachagua, which is a game. I told you, both of them are in this day. They want to paint Gachagua as the boogeyman, as the bad guy. Huyu ndio mtu ana incite watu. Huyu ndio mtu anataka vita. And Gachagua is playing his part too. Ndio maana unaona Gachagua akienda interview anasema vitu za ukweli na uongo. Wonderful things. And I don't mean wonderful as in good. Vitu za ajabu. Anawaambia Ruto, I'm telling you, the next interview Gachagua atakuwa nayo kwa nini, kwa NTV or whatever the case is. Zile interviews zake, their monthly interview. Utamsikia atasema Ruto alikuwa anavuta bangi in State House mbele yangu, na alikuwa uchi, amekaa tu hapo anavuta bangi yako uchi, na aliniambia atatuua. He'll say very very outlandish things. Na akisema hivyo, immediately he says it. Immediately nini akisema hivyo, the news will be it will make news round. Hey, breaking news. Gachagua claims that Ruto was vuttering bangi naked in State House, and he said that he will kill them. Atawaua. Alafu kesho utasikia this guy is in kwa nini compound ya Gachagua, they want to arrest him. Wakiona kama hii story haishiki sana, they live and arrest Gachagua. Ndio sasa iweke sasa news sasa ndio imeshika. Nyinyi mko entertain. Dopamine, wanawapatia dopamine chape kwa kichwa. Gachagua ameshikwa. Mount Kenya vijana utaona wataanza kuchoma vitu. Release Gachagua. Just the same thing you were saying with mlikuwa mnaona anatembea pale. Si mlikuwa mnaona vile wanafanya anatembea. That is what they want you to do. But in real sense, hao watu washapanga. They've pangered everything. But one thing I'm happy about, I saw something today, is that people are getting back to reviewing the finance bill 2025-2026. Bwana sifiwe. People have started reviewing the finance bill 2025. I saw Professor Ogola was in Aninio, even though, you know, he is what he is. I saw someone on TikTok. I haven't had her whole Ninio TikTok, but she was mentioning that even newborn babies, ukizaliwa Kenya hivi, kuna tax unalipa. Si watoto, but their mothers or their parents, whatever the case is. Kuna tax. Ushuru iko ya kulipa ukizaa mtoto hivyo. Munasikia? I'm glad the focus is getting back to what? Finance bill. Lakini wacha niwaambie siri. Siri ya urembo. Wacha niwaambie siri ya urembo. While people have started discussing this finance bill, right, chambua, they are revealing these things because according to that lady who has gone through the draft bill of this finance bill, amesema it is more draconian than the previous one ambao tulipigania last year. Unakumbuka? Anasema it's more taxes mbaya imeongezwa. So what this administration will do, Ruto wants to make you busy. Ataki hiyo discussion, lakini nimeanza kuanza tena kwa sababu Juni inakuja. But this is what they will do. Ruto na Gachagua sasa vita yao ndio inataka kupamba moto, inataka kushika moto. Hiyo vita yao inataka kushika moto vizuri. Inataka kushika vita. Sasa Gachagua ndio anataka nimewaambia the next interview ya Gachagua atasema kitu and the next one utasikia ati wanataka kumshika, hata wataenda kumshika. And atapelekwa ndani siku moja ama siku mbili. Because they have to distract you from discussing what actually affects you directly. Ndio maana unaona wakina Boniface Mwangi wanaenda kupigana na Suluhu huko na inakuwa news. That is a distraction. Okay, wacha niwaulize hata nyinyi mkifikiria simu kuna akili. Simu kuna akili. Mimi si wabebei akili hapa. Wacha niwaulize. Hata kama Suluhu ni dikteta huko Tanzania, Suluhu ndiye anafanya ushuru ambao unalipa hapa iende juu. Suluhu ndio anafanya hao wakina Rex waliuliwa huko ninio during maandamano. Suluhu ndio aliharibu SHA. Suluhu ndio anaibanga kura. Yeah? Suluhu huyu wa Tanzania, huyu Suluhu huyu mnamuita Amin mama. Suluhu ndiye anafanya bei ya unga iende juu. Bei ya mafuta. Suluhu. Nawauliza tu nyinyi. Wakenya nawauliza. Hata nyinyi pia mwanze kuninio. Kufikiria. Wanapiga makelele Suluhu. East Africa treaty sijui nini treaty EAC. No. Nataka nimjibu. Nyinyi mnaingilia Suluhu. Na tuko na shetani amekaa hapo kwa kiti hapo Kenya, Nairobi. Mnataka kuingia mnasikia sasa hivi mnakimbilia Martha Karua na kina Boniface Mwangi. Suluhu anatunyonga huko Tuko na finance bill iko hapo hivyo inataka kupitishwa. Suluhu ndio shida? Sisemi Suluhu ndio suluhisho. Lakini mimi nasema we have a bigger fish to fry. Kama hatutaki Ruto, basi situmuondoe. Sisemi ati kuna ubaya kwenda kumpigania Tundu Lissu, maana Tundu Lissu ameshikwa kwa mambo ya human rights ama mambo mengine. May 25th 2025 tembea na Ibrahim. Haya, tutatembea. Mimi nishaanza kutembea kama George natembea. Ndipo nasema think about it. Mnaona vile focus imekuwa watu wana you see how our focus is. We are not talking about finance bill, we are talking about Gachagua and Ruto. Hiyo vita yao. We are talking about Natembea being arrested in sijui Trans Nzoia. Nobody is talking about finance bill, but I'm glad kuna watu wameanza kuichoma. Wanatuleta kwa ile, kwa sababu hii finance bill is what we shall lead us to. This time it won't be Occupy Parliament. This time it will be Occupy State House 2025. Mwaka huu ni State House. Maana mwaka uliopita tulisha chukua our power from the legislative body. Tukai occupy successfully. Mwaka huu tumegundua kwamba Ruto alipa hawa wanasiasa hawa na these our representatives. So there's no point of going to State House there's no point of going to occupy Parliament this time. This time we are going to occupy State House, where the problem actually lies. And Raila is already joined him. So ni vizuri. Haizi kumjoin tena, already ameshajiweka na yeye. Sasa tukiwaangusha tunawaangusha wote. Unaona? So the focus is coming back to Finance Bill 2025. That is the focus. Na hawa kina sijui nini, utaona they are going to get, nakwambia we goja, between now and August, nawaambia, munisikie vizuri, Ruto ameanza kutetemeka. Between now and August, the political activities in Kenya will be fever pitch hot. Utasikia Gachagua ameshikwa, Natembeya ameshikwa, na nani Martha Karua anapigana huko na Suluhu, na napigana huko kwa koti ya Kenya. Hata Babu Owino ameenda kachukua, anataka kwenda kwa koti, hata yeye amekuwa lawyer. Me, Babu Owino cannot represent me. I'm sorry Babu Owino, najua unanifuata huko kwa X, but Babu Owino, me, I cannot hire you as a lawyer. Wewe siwezi kukuhaya. Babu Owino na nani? Na huyu mwingine anaitwanga nani? Danstan Omari. Danstan Omari, if Danstan Omari starts representing you, you are tu unaenda jela. If Danstan Omari is your lawyer, you are unaenda jela. Just know that. Danstan Omari akikuwa kama Danstan Omari ni lawyer wako, you are unaenda jela. You are going to jail. You are going to jail. Hata Babu Owino hawezi ka represent. Hakuna. Wacha hiyo maneno. Uwezi hakuna. But ndio nawaambia, mimi nawaambia ukweli sasa. Between now and August, hey, wewe utaona siasa ya Kenya vile tashika. Just look at it. Angalia vizuri. Political class wamejua heka ya kisiasa, kwa sababu wakiangalia huko huko West, Ibrahim Traore anaendelea, Mali inaendelea, Niger inaendelea, Ivory Coast ndio hiyo imeanguka. So Amerikani na hizo nchi za nje wanajaribu kugeuza hizi serikali za East Africa. WS Bank na kubaliana naye. Mapenduzi yamefika sasa. Imefika. So the political class mpaka wafanye juu chini to maintain the little power they have left. Hawataki watu wa Kenya waamke. And the finance bill ya 2025-2026, that can trigger a revolution. Kama vile we almost had one last time. And this time, Raila already asha join huko. Si ati atakuja hapa kusaidia Ruto. Alisha choose side yake. Hata sema ati, ndio maana ulisikia jana akisema kwa news ati mimi niko opposition, mimi siko kwa serikali. Because he knows what's coming. And he's trying to be on the right side of the political aisle. Kwa sababu amejua nini nakuja. He knows. It's coming. Piringenye hata yeye pia anaenda na nini? Anaenda na Ruto. Already he has chosen the side. Choose. So watch out. But like I say, as I finish, ladies and gentlemen, make sure everyone subscribe, share, like, comment, and do all the good stuff. Please, let's interrogate all this nonsense by Boniface Mwangi, Martha Karua, and all these useless people like Hanifa. Let's do that. Let's interrogate that and see and make sure that we are not being fooled and played, bamboozled. Okay? Because it's been a long time. It's been a long time where these so-called leaders and representatives who are compromised by Western powers through these NGOs like Open Society Institute or Open Society Foundation that are financing these clowns to choreograph events that are used to destabilize the peace and unity that we have as an Eastern Bloc of Africa and Kenya as a whole. So let's ask them questions whenever they go to public places and they start giving us speeches. Let's ask them, kama ulisema ulivunjika mkono, hebu tuonyeshe ulivunjika mkono wapi? Mbona tuoni hauna kidonda chochote? Na ulisema ulipigwa mangumi. Unasema ulitochwa wapi? Ulituambia mguu imeumia, sijui magoti imevunjika. Hebu tuone hiyo magoti. Anyway guys, uhuru kutoka Cote d'Ivoire hadi Kenya wakoloni wote toka. Absolutely basically banga. Anyway, I have 1% left on my gadget, so I would like to just thank you guys for being with me here. Please make sure the first order of business is do what? like the video, share, subscribe, share, comment, and do all the good stuff. I'm gonna get it. To next time, I have to go. Thank you so much, guys. And next time, maybe I might put the links so we get up about what's happening in Kenya. Anyway, thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'm out.